Welcome to Grimm English Channel. Today, we will enjoy the enchanting story, The 12 Dancing Princesses, from the Brothers Grimm. This tale uncovers a royal mystery, how 12 princesses wear out their shoes every night, despite being locked in their room. Will a clever soldier solve the puzzle and uncover their secret adventures? This version is adapted into simple, familiar English, so we can easily listen and enjoy the story together. At the end of each chapter, we'll also explore interesting vocabulary from the story. Now let's begin and learn English together through the 12 Dancing Princesses. Chapter 1. The Secret of the Worn-Out Shoes. Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom, there was a king who had 12 beautiful daughters. These princesses were known for their grace, kindness, and sparkling smiles. They lived together in a grand palace, where they shared a large bedroom with 12 cozy beds, one for each sister. Every night, the king would make sure the princesses were safely tucked in. He would lock the door and keep the key with him to ensure they stayed inside. But each morning, something very strange happened. The princesses' shoes, which had been perfectly fine the night before, were now completely worn out. They looked as if the sisters had been dancing all night. This confused the king greatly. How can this be, he wondered. The doors were locked and no one left the room. The king called his advisors, but none of them could solve the mystery. Worried and curious, the king made an important announcement to the people of his kingdom. He declared, "Whoever can discover the secret of my daughter's worn-out shoes will have a reward. He will marry one of my daughters, and when I am gone, he will become king." However, there was also a dangerous consequence. Anyone who tried and failed to solve the mystery within 3 days and nights would face death. Despite the risk, many princes and brave men from nearby kingdoms came to try their luck. The first to attempt was a confident young prince. He was well received at the palace and treated with kindness. In the evening, he was taken to a room next to the princess's chamber, with the door left open for him to observe. The prince sat down, determined to stay awake all night. But as the evening passed, he became sleepy. The eldest princess brought him a cup of wine, smiling sweetly as she handed it to him. Not suspecting anything, the prince drank it and soon fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up in the morning, he found that the princess's shoes were worn through once again. This continued for 2 more nights, and on the 3rd day, the prince faced his unfortunate fate. After him, more brave men came forward, each eager to solve the mystery. But none succeeded. Every one of them drank the wine, fell asleep, and failed to discover where the princesses were going each night. As a result, many lives were lost, and the mystery remained unsolved. Meanwhile, in a distant chapter of the kingdom, there was an old soldier who had once fought bravely in battles. However, he was now too old to fight, and he wandered from place to place, unsure of what to do with his life. One day, as he was passing through a dark, dense forest, he came across an old woman sitting by the path. She looked wise and gentle, with a warm smile that made the soldier feel at ease. "Where are you going, dear soldier?" the old woman asked kindly. The soldier sighed and replied, "I have nowhere to go, but I have heard of the king's challenge. I think I might try to solve the mystery of the princess's worn-out shoes." The old woman's eyes twinkled with interest. "Ah, that is a brave decision," she said. "But remember, you must not drink the wine that will be offered to you. It is enchanted, and it will make you fall asleep. If you truly wish to discover the secret, you must pretend to drink it and then act as if you are asleep." The soldier nodded, understanding the importance of the advice. Then the old woman handed him a cloak made of a strange, soft material. "This is a magic cloak," she explained. "Once you wear it, you will become invisible. Use it wisely, and you will be able to follow the princesses without them seeing you." Feeling hopeful, the soldier thanked the old woman and continued his journey to the king's palace. When he arrived, he told the king that he wished to take on the challenge. The king looked at the old soldier with a bit of surprise, but he agreed to let him try. The princesses giggled among themselves when they heard about the new challenger. This old soldier will be no different from the others, they thought. But the soldier remained calm, confident, and determined. In the evening, the soldier was taken to the room next to the princess's chamber. He was given royal clothes to wear, and a comfortable bed was prepared for him. Just as the eldest princess had done with the others, she brought him a cup of wine, her eyes sparkling with mischief. But the soldier was clever. He pretended to drink the wine, but secretly poured it out beside the bed. He then lay down and began to snore loudly, as if in a deep sleep. The 12 princesses, believing he was asleep, whispered among themselves and laughed. "He's just like all the rest," said the eldest. But the youngest princess, with a look of concern, whispered, "I don't know why, but I feel something is different tonight." The eldest brushed off her worries, saying, "Don't be foolish. Everything is fine." And so they began to prepare for their secret adventure, unaware that the soldier was watching and waiting to discover their mysterious nightly journey. Before continuing to the next chapter, let's learn some new vocabulary appeared in the last chapter. The first word to learn is palace. Palace refers to a large, impressive house, often where a king or queen lives. For example, the princesses lived in a grand palace with many rooms. Next, we have mystery. Mystery is something that is difficult to understand or explain. For example, the worn-out shoes were a mystery to the king. Another word is princess. Princess refers to a daughter of a king or queen. For example, the princess danced all night without anyone knowing. The fourth word is discover. Discover means to find something or learn about it for the first time. For example, the king wanted someone to discover the princess's secret. Now let's look at invisible. Invisible means cannot be seen. For example, the cloak made the soldier invisible to the princesses. Moving on to drink. Drink means to swallow liquid. For example, the soldier did not drink the wine given to him. The next word is brave. Brave means not afraid to do something dangerous. For example, the soldier was brave enough to follow the princesses. Now we have laugh. Laugh means to make a sound of happiness or amusement. For example, the princesses laughed when they thought the soldier was asleep. Let's also discuss gold. Gold is a precious metal that is yellow and shiny. For example, the trees in the second grove had leaves made of gold. Finally, we have boat. Boat is a small vehicle that travels on water. For example, each princess got into a boat with a prince to cross the lake. Chapter 2. The Cloak of Invisibility. As the soldier lay quietly, pretending to sleep, the princesses began their secret preparations. They whispered excitedly, making sure not to wake the supposed sleeping soldier. The eldest princess checked the door to ensure it was still locked, and the others took out their finest dresses from hidden boxes. Each dress was more beautiful than the last, sparkling with sequins and glittering jewels. The princesses put on their dancing shoes, which were made of the softest silk, and tied colorful ribbons in their hair. The youngest princess, however, was still anxious. "I don't know why, but I feel that someone is watching us," she said nervously. "Don't worry," the eldest sister replied confidently. "No one has discovered us before, and this old soldier won't either. Now, let's hurry before it gets too late." Once they were ready, the eldest princess clapped her hands 3 times. Suddenly, her bed sank into the floor, revealing a trapdoor. The princesses giggled as they lined up to enter the passageway. One by one, the soldier, who had been watching everything from beneath the magic cloak, quietly got up from his bed and followed them down the hidden staircase. The stairs were narrow and dark, but the soldier moved carefully, making sure not to trip or make any noise. As they descended, the youngest princess suddenly stopped and turned around. "I think I heard something behind us," she whispered. The eldest princess laughed. "You are always imagining things. There is no one here but us." The soldier continued down the stairs, taking slow and steady steps. He was amazed at the sight before him. The underground passageway was lined with glowing stones that lit up the path. As he walked, he noticed that the walls were decorated with paintings of magical creatures and enchanted forests. Finally, the passage led to a magnificent grove filled with silver trees. The leaves sparkled under a soft moonlight, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers. The soldier was so mesmerized that he almost forgot why he was there. but he quickly remembered the old woman's advice. Wanting proof of his discovery, he reached out and broke a small branch from one of the silver trees. There was a sudden, loud crack that startled the princesses. "What was that noise?" the youngest princess asked, her eyes wide with fear. "It was just the wind," the eldest reassured her. "Now, let's keep going." The soldier continued to follow the princesses as they reached another grove, this one filled with trees that had golden leaves. The golden leaves shone even brighter than the silver ones, creating a magical glow all around. The soldier broke a small branch from one of these trees as well, making sure to have another piece of evidence. Again, there was a loud noise, but the princesses were too busy chatting and laughing to pay much attention. Soon, they arrived at a third grove, where the trees were covered in diamond-like leaves. The sparkling branches cast rainbows on the ground, and the soldier couldn't help but smile at the beautiful sight. He carefully broke off a small diamond branch, knowing it would help prove the truth to the king. The soldier continued to follow the princesses, who now reached the edge of a large lake. 12 little boats, each with a handsome prince inside, were waiting for the princesses. The princes greeted the princesses warmly and helped them into the boats. The soldier quickly stepped into the boat of the youngest princess, making sure to stay invisible under his cloak. As they rowed across the lake, the prince in the boat with the youngest princess seemed puzzled. "I don't know why," he said, "but the boat feels heavier than usual." The youngest princess nodded. "Yes, it does feel a bit slow, but maybe it's because the air is so still tonight." The soldier remained silent, hiding in the back of the boat. He could see a beautiful castle shining brightly on the other side of the lake. Music floated from its windows, and the sound of trumpets and horns filled the air. The soldier could see that this was where the princesses danced each night. As soon as the boats reached the shore, the princesses and princes hurried inside the castle. The ballroom was grand, with crystal chandeliers, polished floors, and a band playing lively music. Each prince took a princess by the hand, and they began to dance gracefully around the room. Even though the soldier was invisible, he couldn't resist the music. He joined in, careful not to bump into anyone. While the princesses danced joyfully, the soldier noticed a golden cup on a table nearby. He decided to take it as additional proof for the king. The youngest princess, once again feeling uneasy, whispered to her sisters, "Something feels strange. Did you notice that one of the cups is missing?" "You worry too much," the eldest replied, spinning around in a dance. "No one could have followed us here." The princesses danced until 3 o'clock in the morning, and by then their shoes were completely worn out. Tired but happy, they returned to the boats, with the soldier still following closely behind. This time he sat in the boat with the eldest princess, who was too exhausted to notice anything unusual. When they reached the other side of the lake, the princesses climbed back up the underground stairs, one after another. The soldier quickly ran ahead of them and lay back down in his bed. He pretended to be asleep, snoring loudly. The princesses, seeing him asleep, felt safe once more. They took off their dancing shoes, put away their dresses, and went to bed. The soldier now had all the evidence he needed. He knew that the next morning, he would tell the king the truth about where the princesses danced each night. Now let's take a break and learn some new words that appeared in the last chapter. The first word to learn is lake. Lake refers to a large body of water surrounded by land. For example, the princesses crossed the lake in small boats. Next, we have castle. Castle is a large building, often old, where royals live. For example, the castle on the other side of the lake was bright with lights. Another word is dance. Dance means to move rhythmically, usually to music. For example, the princesses loved to dance all night with the princes. The fourth word is glass. Glass is a transparent material often used in windows or cups. For example, the princesses dressed in front of a glass mirror before dancing. Now let's look at youngest. Youngest refers to the person who is the least old in a group. For example, the youngest princess was the most cautious of all. Moving on to heavy. Heavy means having great weight. For example, the prince felt that the boat was unusually heavy while rowing. The next word is cup. Cup is a small container used for drinking. For example, the soldier took a golden cup as proof of his adventure. Now we have midnight. Midnight means 12 o'clock at night. For example, the princesses always returned before midnight. Let's also discuss tired. Tired means feeling the need to rest. For example, the princesses felt very tired after dancing all night. Finally, we have safe. Safe means free from danger or harm. For example, the princesses believed they were safe when they heard the soldiers snoring. Chapter 3. The Truth Revealed. As dawn broke, the palace began to stir. The king awoke, eager to hear from the old soldier about the mystery of the worn-out shoes. The soldier, confident in what he had discovered, prepared to share his findings. He placed the silver, gold, and diamond branches along with the golden cup carefully in a bag. These tokens would serve as undeniable proof of the princess's secret. The king summoned the soldier to the royal hall. The princesses, looking both curious and anxious, stood behind a curtain, hoping their secret had remained undiscovered. The king addressed the soldier sternly. "Now tell me, brave soldier," he commanded, "where do my daughters go each night, and why do their shoes wear out?" The old soldier stood straight, his voice calm but firm. "Your Majesty," he began, "I have followed your 12 daughters for the past 3 nights, and I know their secret. Every night, they travel through a hidden passage under the eldest princess's bed. This passage leads to 3 magical groves, one with silver trees, one with golden trees, and one with trees of sparkling diamonds." The king looked surprised, but the princesses behind the curtain were even more shocked. They exchanged worried glances. The soldier continued. The princesses cross a large lake in boats rowed by 12 handsome princes. On the other side of the lake is a grand castle where they dance until their shoes wear out. The king's eyes widened with amazement. "And how do I know this is true?" he asked, still unsure. The soldier then pulled out the 3 branches, the silver, gold, and diamond, and laid them before the king. "These branches were taken from the enchanted groves," he explained. "And here is a golden cup from the ballroom where the princesses danced," he added, placing the cup beside the branches. The king was convinced. "What you say must be true," he declared. He turned to the princesses, who had no choice but to step forward. "Is this what really happens?" the king demanded. The eldest princess, seeing no way out, nodded slowly. "Yes, father, it is true," she admitted. "We have been going to the magical castle to dance with the 12 princes each night." The youngest princess looked tearful. "I'm sorry, father," she said softly. "We never meant to deceive you, but we loved to dance and could not resist the magic of the place." The king, although disappointed by their deception, was relieved that the mystery had been solved. He kept his promise to the soldier. "You have been brave and clever," he said, "and you deserve a reward. You may choose one of my daughters as your wife." The old soldier thought carefully. He was no longer young, and he had seen much of the world. "Your Majesty," he replied respectfully, "I am honored by your offer. Since I am not very young myself, I would like to marry the eldest princess. She is wise and strong, and I believe we will understand each other well." The eldest princess agreed to the marriage. Although she had been afraid at first, she had grown to admire the soldier's courage and honesty. The wedding preparations began immediately. The entire kingdom was invited to celebrate, and soon the palace was filled with music, laughter, and joy. The wedding feast was grand, with tables piled high with delicious food and drinks. There were roasted meats, fresh fruits, and sweets of all kinds. Musicians played cheerful tunes, and guests danced merrily. The king, seeing his eldest daughter happy and the soldier rewarded for his bravery, felt content. Even the 12 princes from the magical castle were invited. They came to the feast, not as rivals but as friends, glad that the secret was finally out. After the wedding, the soldier and the eldest princess began a new life together. The king kept his promise and declared the soldier as his heir. He would one day become king and rule the land with wisdom and fairness. The younger princesses were also given the freedom to choose husbands of their own liking. No longer bound by the secrecy of their nightly adventures, they soon found happiness as well. The youngest princess, who had always been the most thoughtful, learned a valuable lesson about honesty and trust. She promised her father that she would never keep secrets again. As the days turned into years, the soldier proved to be a kind and just leader. He always remembered the old woman who had helped him and made sure to treat everyone in the kingdom with fairness. The eldest princess, now a queen, stood by his side, offering wise advice and ruling with grace. The magical passage under the princess's bed was sealed, and the enchanted groves and castle became places of legend. People spoke of them in stories, telling children about the 12 princesses and their mysterious dances. But no one ever tried to open the hidden door again, for the magic had served its purpose. And so the soldier turned prince, his queen, and the kingdom lived happily ever after. The 12 dancing princesses, now content with their lives, danced not in secret but at joyful celebrations with their loved ones. The kingdom was peaceful, filled with the warm glow of happiness and honesty. And the worn-out shoes? They were replaced by shoes of love, kindness, and the promise of new adventures that didn't require secrets to be magical. It's the end of the story. We will once again learn together some other new vocabulary in the story. The story ends here, but we will once again learn together some other new vocabulary related to the topic in the story. The first word to learn is reward. Reward means something given in return for good behavior or work. For example, the soldier received a reward for discovering the secret. Next, we have choose. Choose means to pick something or someone from a group. For example, the soldier was allowed to choose one of the princesses to marry. Another word is promise. Promise is a declaration to do something. For example, the king kept his promise and let the soldier marry a princess. The fourth word is celebrate. Celebrate means to have fun or be joyful about an event. For example, the kingdom celebrated the marriage of the soldier and the princess. Now let's look at heir. Heir refers to a person who will receive someone's property or title after they die. For example, the soldier became the king's heir after solving the mystery. Moving on to wise. Wise means showing good judgment and intelligence. For example, the eldest princess was known for her wise decisions. The next word is joyful. Joyful means very happy. For example, the wedding was a joyful event for everyone in the kingdom. Now we have free. Free means not under the control of someone else. For example, the princesses were finally free to marry whoever they wanted. Let's also discuss adventure. Adventure refers to an exciting or unusual experience. For example, the soldier's adventure led him to a magical castle. Finally, we have honesty. Honesty is the quality of being truthful. For example, the youngest princess promised to always choose honesty in the future.